Good evening, folks, and welcome back to another stream with me, Fluent Code, here in the UK, live on Twitch and YouTube. Thank you very much for joining us. It's very much appreciated. Yeah. Well, what have we got in store for you today? Well, what we have in store for you today... Ad break in progress. Okay, brilliant. Excellent. Start the stream. Ads. Wonderful. What we have in store for you today is Eldar. This is our Eldar project. Yeah, we're gonna have to start work on the main bulk of the Eldar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go right ahead by getting some of these bad boys out here in front of you on the stream, and starting to work away at them. Look at this, we've got plenty of them here. Oh, bloody hell. We have what is known as a plethora of Eldar. That is the official terminology for a large collection of Eldar. And what we have to do with them tonight is put paint on them. So we will be taking our paintbrush. It's funny that, isn't it? Doing a painting project. We'll be taking our paintbrush, we will be taking our Macragge blue, and we'll be going right ahead and getting a good old coat of watered down Macragge blue all over these guys in much the same way as we've done with the rest of them. It's a lovely easy. Crazy Omnisire, welcome in, thank you for the lurk, it's much appreciated. We'll be going ahead like we did with the other ones, and we'll be hitting straight with a really watered down coat of Macragge blue. Now, this is the recipe that we used to quite good effect, I think, on this guy here, our test miniature, our starter for 10. So this blue here is a nice combination of Thalasar blue as a base coat. Then we've applied Macragge blue watered down over the top of it. Now I know that seems a little bit weird. It seems a little bit counterintuitive to put the contrast paint on and then come back with the normal coat. But it's what we did, and it seems to have worked. So it's now just a case of that seemed to work, let's repeat the process. So that's what we're going to do tonight. We've spent a couple of sessions applying Thalasar blue to the entire army, and it is, you know, it's a fairly sizable force now. I say the entire army. I have one lonely scout squad remaining, but I'm going to save them till last almost. So we are going to, first of all, we're going to overstretch our painting handle with this poor old boy, and then we're just going to start slapping it on. And it's quite interesting the way it just sort of it just applies this sort of filter over the top of the Thalasar blue and just neatens everything up, just brings it into this really nice, rich, deep blue colour that I just absolutely adore. I'm well in love with this colour, which is good because it is my army and I'm painting it this colour. It would be pretty crap if I was painting it blue and I didn't like the blue that we were achieving. Now this model is quite nice in that you can actually see the difference that this coat of blue is making, because I know a couple of people have said, why are you painting normal paint over the top of contrast? And this is the reason. Look right here where that guy is. You just get this sort of pastel tone in there where it's just enough to change it. You're still keeping the rich blue that we've got going on from the contrast, but we're just adding something else into the mix. And I think it's a really electric colour. I'm really pleased with it. So that's what we're doing. We are now going to move on to the stage where we're applying this to all of the models. We've already done the blue. Like I say, there is one squad that we've still got to do, a 5-man scout squad. So not exactly the end of the world. I will probably get those done. No, I won't paint them off stream. That would be heresy. We're not doing that. We are painting everything on stream. No work outside of the stream. It's kind of a little commitment that I made to myself when I started this. It wasn't necessarily you guys involved in that decision. But I think it works. I think that if I'm going to commit to streaming, painting an army, then really everything should be done on stream. It should all go out at the same sort of rate, in the same location, as it were. Now, I am a little bit worried. Yesterday we painted the Viper, and I am a little bit worried in the same way as painting the Viper was a bit of a challenge, because it's one of those lovely curvy swoopy Eldar models that the range is famous for, but it's got quite big areas. Howdy there, Badger. It feels like we've only just parted. How are you? I hope the end of your stream went really well. So you join us as we are working our way through this lovely blue on our old 2nd edition Eldar. Welcome aboard. Thank you very much for the raid. I very much appreciate it. If ever you decide to change your stream schedule, I would love to repay you the favour. But currently, we sort of cross at a beneficial time for me. But yeah, I'm really pleased with this colour. This blue is just coming out beautifully. And even once we drab it down a little bit with the Macragge blue, it's still a lovely colour. Right, so all we're doing is we're applying this Macragge blue at a rate over the entire model. Yes, the weapon shields are going to be the yellow. The mechanism that he's sat on will be bone. Essentially all the sort of technology bits on them are going to be the bone color that we worked up for the shuriken catapult on the test model, and then it will be on a sort of case by case basis what gets a coat of yellow. On this model, I think the weapon shields, his helmet, and the feet will be quite nice to have in yellow. Yes, the hooves will be in yellow as well. Because I can't think of a better colour. Now I've mixed up a bit more of this Macragge and it's coming out a bit thick. I'm going to need to water it down a bit. Let's see if we can. It's a bit better. No, we're going to keep the red as a very much a spot colour throughout the whole army. It will appear on gemstones, hair crests, things like that, but it won't be a major feature colour of any one model, and I'll very much be trying to stop it from overpowering any particular areas of these models. I think red in this predominantly blue and yellow army needs to really be kept to a minimum. It's weird. The colour scheme for these guys is slightly lifted from 3rd edition, which is just where they started to phase out the red era. And I don't feel that blue and yellow really is going to work by putting red all over everything. There will be a little bit, as per this guy. We'll have helmet lenses and gemstones, things like that. But predominantly it will be just the just those, rather than, you know, large swathes of the model. Oh, you sound like a red doubter, and that's just not on. I mean, the red era is the peak of Warhammer. I mean, I say that. I feel like it was the peak of Warhammer, perhaps in a moral sense, rather than a mechanical sense. Rather than a, you know, physically this is the best that Warhammer ever has been and ever will be, but in a sort of moral. Yeah. I mean, anything with that amount of red on it is going to be burnt into somebody's brain somewhere. No, I also joined in the red era. I look back on it fondly, but I'm under no illusions that it was a very distinct choice. I have heard people moaning about it. You may be surprised to learn, but I am part of several Oldhammer style communities. Shock horror, but there are people who bemoan the red era. Oh, it's a terrible thing. Why did they choose to do it? And it's like, well, they chose to do it because somebody in the design studio had this amazing idea that they were going to unify their entire range of models so that anybody looking in from the outside would go, oh yeah, that's Games Workshop. So the entire heavy metal studio, everyone was told to paint stuff with red. Yep. If you look at second edition, everything went through a massive design change, where all the bases, you know, the Goblin Green bases. If you look in Rogue Trader, Nothing had goblin green bases. Everything was just painted with a base that they thought the model would look good on. All the bases were done the same, goblin green. And yeah, all of that was a design decision to unify the look of Games Workshop, so that Games Workshop could be easily identified from an onlooker. And boy, did it work. It very much became a, oh yeah, we can recognize Games Workshop from a mile off. You know, I mean, they didn't have the most amazing competition at the time, but there was some. But yeah, they just said, right, we're going to be the dominant force. Let's do that. Let's be that force. Let's leverage our huge design studio or our very well accomplished design studio, and we're going to make models that all look the same. And yeah, now they can turn around and go, now that they are market leaders in the field, they can paint things whatever color they want. They can be all technical, they can be incredible. But the Red Era served its purpose, if you ask me, because it really did cement them as a unified company. Everything was the same. So, you know, you hear people moan about it and bemoan it and have a go at it, but yeah. Howdy there, Nostrana. I hope you're all well at the moment. Right, that one is nice and done. Thankfully, this stage of painting the blue is a lot quicker, believe it or not, than applying the contrast. Yeah, again, it absolutely was. It was aimed at a specific market, and as cynical as that sounds, young people didn't have a disposable income, but they did have parents who had disposable income. So, you know, you hook the parent, you hook the child, the parents, well, let's face it, they if it was anything like my town, they used Games Workshop as a drop-off point to leave the problem child, what later became known as autism, in town while they went off and did shopping with, you know, friends or regular kids. That's maybe generalizing a little bit, just a tiny bit, but that's certainly how it seemed. And you know, the price for that was, oh, so we have to buy some models when we come back to pick our child up. That seemed fairly reasonable to most of them at the time. I spent many hours in a Games Workshop when I was younger. We lived within walking distance of the town centre. You know, I would be up there most days during the summer holidays, part of sort of campaigns, helping out around the shop. It was a bit of a weird time as far as Games Workshop staff were, because they were all underpaid and overworked a little bit, and they were kind of happy to have nerds that they didn't have to pay hanging about that would paint models for them. And you know, hell, I imagine some of the people who hang around in the shop would clean the toilets for them if it meant that they could feel wanted by Games Workshop. Yeah, I mean, it was very much a sort of its time kind of thing. I imagine that nowadays it would probably be kind of frowned upon. I don't know. I don't go into Games Workshops very much anymore. Are they still just sort of full of abandoned children? Because it certainly used to be that the case that there would be kids who were dropped off at like 9 o'clock in the morning and not picked up again until like 5. Yeah, 30 quid would you know, that would be a major spend up. That would be quite significant additions to your army or armies. But yeah, it's funny how times have changed. It's not surprising how times have changed, but it certainly is funny. Welcome to the chat, by the way, Gabba. It's nice to have you here. I'm assuming you came in with the raid with old Badgeroo. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I imagine they're people much like you and I who have disposable incomes and fond memories of the hobby. Yeah, there's still a lot of kids end up in ours. It's just that they don't seem to be abandoned at the same sort of rate. I mean, those, you know, don't get me wrong, those, I used the word abandoned, but those kids didn't actually seem to be any worse off for it. And yeah, hats off to them. They're still packing out physical bricks and mortar stores. They're not very big. The one in our town is quite a small shop, but it's been in the same location for 20 plus years. So everyone knows it's there, and they still pack it out quite regularly. I've no idea whether they still run things like games nights and have you. Happy memories of school summer holidays spent cramped up with other nerds in Games Workshops. Ah, those were the days. Yeah, I mean, you know, an extra games night, that's a sign of something doing well, of a business model that is thriving. If having to take on, you know, the time to do extra games nights. So yeah, they're clearly doing something right. Who knows? Maybe it's all down to the red era. Maybe we can lay every success of Games Workshop at the feet of painting models red in the 90s. Nothing about sound business decisions or improvements in modelling and stuff like that. It's yes, that and Mordheim. Yeah. All of Games Workshop's development into an FTSE 100 company is laid firmly at the feet of painting some models red and Mordheim and Battlefleet Gothic. Yes. I really, really wish Battlefleet Gothic is the one model, the one game system that I am so gutted that I got rid of. I had quite a nice collection of models, and we sold them off. Some of them were mine, some of them were from when my father passed away. Yeah, that is the one game system that I utterly miss. Still got the rules, but none of the actual models anymore. It was a very, I felt, a very feature complete game system, which is something you can't say for a lot of yeah, it's something that you can't say for a lot of Games Workshop products. You know, the idea that they are done and that there won't be any more of them. That's one of the reasons why I can't get my head around new Necromunda. Necromunda 2017 was, oh, it was great. Here we are. We're going to re-release Necromunda. Oh, brilliant. Excellent. So, you know, the updated models, great. You know, I can live with the updated rules. I can, you know, live with all of these things. And then it was like, yeah, and we're going to release it in this sort of weird episodic book by book manner. So you'll get the rules for Escher and Goliath in the box set, and then you'll have to wait like 9 months before you have the rules for Delac. And it's like, what are you talking about? Why would you not just put all of the rules in the box set? Oh no, we're gonna do it. Or talking about cracking old model blisters open. You can't ask a man that. It's like asking a soldier if he's ever killed someone. You can't say to him, are you going to ever open your are you ever going to open your Battlefleet Gothic blisters? No, you can't say that to a man. I think one of the reasons why I really, really like this Macragge blue is it's actually a very, very warm blue. It's got like quite... Once you paint it on, there's almost like purple shades in there. Oh, Town Crier magazine. Oh. Citadel Journal. That was peak hobby. Citadel Journal was peak hobby. It's a hill I will die on. Yes, sometimes it was just utterly shit, but the majority of it was actually really pretty damn good house rules that you could adopt and play test and, you know, do all sorts of stuff with, adapt them to suit your table, and then you'd eventually find that those rules would quite often actually make it into like later editions, and that was fascinating. You think, oh, I recognise this rule. That rule was in the journal, and I play tested this for them, and yeah, Citadel Journal was absolutely where it's at. yeah, Inferno magazine. I had the first few copies of Inferno. I don't know whether I don't think I kept it up. And in fact, was it issue 0 of Inferno that they released to coincide with a Games Day? That everyone who went to Games Day got issue 0 of Inferno? I can't remember if that was something or whether I'm imagining that. Because that might be the one that I've got signed. I'm going to have to go and dig through and find my copies of Inferno somewhere soon, because I'm sure I've got the first issue of Inferno, the issue 0, signed by a bunch of Games Workshop luminaries. I found my old 99 Golden Demon and Games Day program, signed by Fat Bloke. Well, along with lots of others, but that was quite. It was almost sort of emotional. That guy was such a big part of the hobby back then. Kind of sad, sort of seeing his signature just sat there on a sort of freebie that was handed out at Games Day. But yes, to go back to a time where you had infinite disposable time and very little disposable money. I don't think there's ever a happy balance of those two things. I imagine people who win the lottery might be able to disagree with me, but and I think if I was to take one of either of those things, it would probably be to take the infinite amount of time rather than the disposable income, because I think you can have more fun with time. But it's just sort of down to you to make the most of it, rather than, oh, what can I buy to fill the limited amount of time that I have. Well, that's a bit philosophical for a Wednesday evening, isn't it? Let's keep the rest of that conversation. Yeah. Safe in the knowledge that you already have a catastrophic pile of shame that could kill a man if it collapsed on them. You can spend all the time in the world finishing it. Very true. No problems, Badger. I wish you the very best this evening. I hope you have a good one. And you're probably done for the week now, aren't you? Is that you normally done? Are you planning to come back later in the week, as it was a short week? Okay. Well, you have an excellent rest of the week, my friend. Hope you have a good weekend, and we will see you on your return. I am on next. I'm off tomorrow night. I'm back on Friday, and hopefully back on Saturday. However, Saturday is D&D this week, so if I don't make it back, I will post up on Discord. And I will come and do a nice daytime stream on Sunday, because I actually enjoyed doing one this weekend. So yeah, back tomorrow. Not tomorrow, Friday. God damn it. No problems, my friend. Like I say, you have a lovely weekend. Right, so we are hammering away. This goes on lovely and easily. It's far easier to paint than the than the contrast, even though the contrast is supposed to be an extremely easy paint to paint with. This stuff is something else, because it's basically just like smearing water all over everything. And thankfully, because we've thinned it down, it just sits into all of the crevices. It's basically like a really, really thin wash of quite, I say thin wash, it's very thin paint, but quite high opacity, because this blue has just got actually quite lovely coverage. So yeah, we're ending up with these lovely shades here of this blue. Got to make sure we keep it nice and thin, because it's quite easy to apply this a bit thick, and then it just sits kind of wrong. But you just come back with a bit of extra water on your brush and smear it around, and we're back to the good stuff again. So yeah, I am very much looking forward to my D&D session this weekend. We are moving on to the next stage of our Waterdeep campaign, where hopefully we should be leveling up, which will be nice. We'll be at level 3. We get to make some really meaningful character decisions. I'm not sure what decisions I shall make about my character, who is how should we say it? It's not Batman. I mean, it's basically, it's Bruce Wayne, but not. That makes sense. Legally distinct, I think, is the best way to describe it. Yeah, I'm playing an artificer, and I figured that, you know, let's play this like a bit like Gotham. And so my character is essentially the Bruce Wayne artificer side of Batman, and it works quite well, because I essentially play him as a spoilt noble, and that has actually played us really, really well in the campaign. The DM has been quite accommodating with it. So he has allowed us to have a few sort of extra connections over and above what a normal sort of player party would expect to have, based on sort of Bryce's, I call him Bryce, based on his familial connections, things like that. And so it's worked really well for us in the campaign. But I am now left with the decision of what do I do with an artificer at level 3 in a group which effectively has no healers. You know, we have what do we have? We have a rogue, oh god, what is it? We have a rogue, a monk, a warlock, and an artificer. So yeah, really no discernible or no healer of note. And so after we got thoroughly trounced in the the first segment of the campaign, I said, okay guys, look, you know, I don't mind sacrificing a little bit of utility and going and playing as a healer. So I put down some of my toys and trinkets and said, okay, I'm gonna spend second level speccing into being the party's healer. And then, since then, we've had no noticeable combat encounters that have involved the party taking any damage whatsoever. We have had a combat encounter, which was supposed to be quite challenging, as far as I know, and we killed the guy without taking a single point of damage, and I got a gun. You know, just throwing that out there, that I am now Batman, who is a healer and runs around with a gun threatening people. Haven't actually shot anyone with it yet, but I have used it to, you know, scare off ne'er-do-wells, which is actually quite enjoyable. So yeah, I'm left confused by what I should do with my character at level 3. Which of course is only relevant to anybody listening if they're familiar with D&D or artificers in general. So yeah, by all means ask any questions if you don't know what I'm jabbering on about, or if you don't care, then I'll stop. Got a couple of spam bots trying to get in. Agrarian horse auction, trample tenancy M. They do like their random names for their spam bots. To anybody who is a streamer, I do highly recommend the Seri bot that I use on the channel. So big shout out to them. It's effectively eliminated any problem that I have with spammers. So yeah, highly recommend installing that bot in your channel. Quite simply, search for Seri bot, follow the instructions. It's a really good little program to introduce to your stream. Okay, this is certainly going faster than yesterday's edition of Add Blue to Old Metal, which is a good thing because the blue yesterday was almost interminable. I started to get a bit frustrated towards the end of it. This is a really nice effect, but I imagine if I try and do it on too many more models, I'll be getting frustrated with this one as well. I think the next option we're going to break out might be yellow. We've got quite a simple recipe for our yellow on these models. We take Avalon Sunset, I'm sure it's Avalon Sunset, the base colour, paint it all over the helmet, and then highlight it up with demonic yellow. We'll add a little bit of white into the mix if we need it, right at the sort of final highlight. But the demonic yellow, it's a Fanatic colour, I think, from Army Painter. Just such a lovely highlight colour for that Avalon Sunset. Recommend it so much. reckon. No, I don't reckon. Don't reckon at all. We've got one more model in this squad to do, but we have a hell of a pile of models over there that need this same blue effect, and I think the next one to get the treatment is going to be one of the weapons platforms and crew. So we'll mix it up a little bit. We'll paint one of the weapon platforms and crew, and then I'm going to paint the one that I've been dreading, and I have been dreading this. It's going to be the Viper. I don't know how that's going to turn out. Like I say, it's one of those swoopy, curvy Eldar models in plastic, and I'm a bit nervous about how it's going to take to this phase of it. I thought I was a bit nervous before the contrast, and that came out all right. So fingers crossed, it's not going to be as bad as I'm expecting. But yeah, I'm not confident about this technique on the Viper, so we'll hope for the best. You'll have to excuse the window being open and any background noise that you can hear. I'm hoping it's not too bad. The way we've got the mic set up, it shouldn't pick up everything, but it has also been extremely nice and warm here today. It's a good sign that that summer is well and truly on its way. I'm looking forward to summer this year so much. Mostly because my garden is pretty much done, ready for enjoyment, rather than spending back-breaking days out in the hot summer heat trying to get it to look nice. It's a case of, yeah, I can actually sit back and enjoy it this year. If only the grass would learn to cut itself, and then me and the garden would have an excellent relationship. The paint on this model has really congregated around that stud in particular, and I think it did it on the other one as well. So we'll have to try when we're highlighting to see if we can feather that area in a little bit and make it a little bit less obvious that that's what's happened. Hopefully this blue here will tone it down for us. But yeah, this blue really is such a nice subtle shade on it. Right. As promised, we have a weapons platform and two crew here that are going to need doing. I'm going to do the weapons platform first. We'll see how this takes, because I noticed this when I was painting it before. This one has got some weird little texture sort of bobbles going on here, and I wonder how that's going to cope with this really watery McCrag blue. Of course, I have painted the bit of the model that I would most like to hold when it comes to painting the rest of it, so that's an excellent starting place. Silly. Should have thought of that one. So we'll now try and fudge holding it from below. That's probably not going to work very well. %, that's not going to work, so we'll have to switch to a cack-handed kind of grip the shield type of doodad. And I've just noticed that there's a big old splurge of glue on this one as well. So we are definitely going for the high end of our attention to detail and modelling. But I think that you guys will let me off. Maybe. Please let me off. Right. You will notice also that we've switched back this evening to Muzak rather than yesterday's version of whatever it was we were playing, like ska or punk or something. The reason being is YouTube sent me a very snotty message going, "We've paused your stream because we've detected copyrightable music. We'll restart your stream once the copyrightable stuff goes away." And I was like, oh, okay. So yes, YouTube can be a very, very funny tool to try and interact with. So back to the canned stuff for us, folks. Just thicken that just a touch. It's all right. I find music that's not really music to be quite relaxing anyway. This stuff that just sort of burbles along in the background. It's not the most distracting thing in the world, which I suppose is a good thing. And there's much less likelihood of me singing along to a sudden track that appears, which has got to be a good thing from your point of view, I guess. Don't worry, I won't hold that against you. Right. What I love the most about these weapon crews is how little blue is actually on them. Whew. As I say though, it's quite incredible how they're... I imagine this was Jez Goodwin, but how on point his hand game was on these models. The hands on them are so well done. It's like every single finger joint is sculpted in just tiny, tiny detail there. Right, so one crew. These guys have a tiny little bit more on them because you can see they're Eldar doodads. I don't know what these things are called, but I've always called them Eldar doodads. That sit on the back of their shoulders, and I'm presuming are something to do with their suit, either a cooling system or, you know, something along those lines. Because believe it or not, despite how light it looks, Guardian armour is counted as fully enclosed, I believe. But I believe Guardian armour is counted as a sealed armour, mesh armour. Or was it Aspect Warrior armour that's counted and mesh armour isn't? I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking bollocks. I don't know, you can't prove nothing. And there's every likelihood that I'm just talking bollocks. Right. Well, we're getting closer and closer to that Viper. I'm dreading it. I'm not looking forward to it. One, I didn't realise how awkward it was actually going to be to paint a Viper. Oh, that's quite thick. It's fully assembled. There's no sub-assemblies. And it's actually really awkward to paint. There's a lot of the cradle for the weapon sits in front of other stuff that is really hard to get to and paint, and it's just quite an awkward thing. But I am still, after all these years, this came out not long after I got into the hobby. So this was 96, 97, 97 I believe that this came out. And just look at the thing. That is still just such a beautiful model. Okay, this could work. This could be okay. I might be panicking over nothing. Could be panicking over nothing. Getting a nice even tone. Got to be very careful about brush strokes. We don't want to create artificial places for it to look uneven, so we'll be quite careful to work all of our brush strokes in the one direction, not that one direction, and to just work out any little issues where it looks like it's pooling wrong. Maybe that's working, I don't know. Now, what I am going to have to do is I'm going to have to paint the majority of it, the main part of it, and then step away from the model for a bit, because otherwise, because we've gone so thin on it, that paint is going to take a little while to dry, and it's going to very easy to dip your finger in something on that carapace, and it's a case of I want to not mess this one up. I'd say it's one of my, if not my favourite Eldar Mini. Vipers are just so cool. We've got a bit of a coffee stain there from the contrast paint, and hopefully when we apply this over the whole carapace, that should get us quite a nice smooth colour everywhere. never going to get it perfect. I'm applying this by brush, not airbrush or or anything, but we are just aiming for trying to get it as smooth as possible. I think that's looking pretty nice there. Happy with that. I do wonder. No, I was thinking about whether I should maybe consider doing 2 thin coats over this area, but I think that will look a bit odd compared to the rest of the army. So we'll scratch that idea for now. If it becomes, if it becomes necessary, we'll reconsider it. Right, I'm going to pop that to one side for now. I'm not going to do the cradle or any of the detailed bits around there. The reason being is I want this to try and dry as smooth as possible. Because we are applying it with a brush, we need to give it every advantage we can. I don't know, that carapace, it might benefit from a second very thin layer. Hello. I'd love one. Yeah. Thank you. So we're going to pop him to one side for now. We're going to let that dry off. Then we'll come back and do the cradle, and then we will consider. We'll have to consider it quite closely whether or not we do another coat on that carapace, because it is risky. It does. It's got a chance that it goes all wrong. And then it looks too dark, and then we do a little bit of crying. We go, I've done it wrong. I'll try not to cry. Not on stream. Right. Let's continue with the blue with some good old metal miniatures. That one is our Farseer. Now, as I said, I've got a couple of issues here where I've got very, very similar colours right next to each other, which is something I say very similar colours. I've got the same colour runs from his dress down onto his boots, and then on these sleeves I've got the same deal where they run right down right next to where his gloves are. So I've got to be quite careful when I paint this of trying to find some way to separate out those two aspects. The sleeve and the glove have to look like different materials almost. Not almost, they do. They have to look like different materials. It's not so bad on this arm because the sleeve and the glove are separated. They've got these bangle things in between them. But otherwise you just end up with two things that are painted exactly the same colour and exactly the same technique. Then there's nothing to differentiate the material. So I've got to find some way of doing it. I think what I will do is I quite enjoy employing like scratchy style highlights when it comes to fabric, and I haven't yet had to do any real fabric in this blue. So what I might do is when I come to apply the lightning bolt blue and the ice blue, which are the two colours that I'll be using to highlight it, I think what I'll do is I will apply those in, like I say, like a scratchy fabric style highlight, so you get like little cross hatches on them, and hopefully that's enough to differentiate the materials. It's just something I like to do when I'm painting, so that you don't end up with the same colour right next to each other for two different things. It just doesn't seem right. We're getting through these guys at a rate. We've got, what do we got? We've got about 50 minutes left of the stream. We have 5 scouts and a weapon platform and crew left to do. I have got 5 more scouts, but those guys haven't had their Talisar blue applied. They've all been undercoated, ready to go. I just haven't applied the Talisar blue. So we have got stuff to keep us occupied if we run out, but yeah, we are progressing through these guys quite nicely now. And again, this is something that I might have to look at, how we apply this blue highlight, because we've got the material of their gloves and the material of their helmet right next to each other. Yes, I know, before you say it, the helmet on these is supposed to be yellow because they're a Latok, but trust the process. No, you don't need to trust the process. Just look in the 3rd edition codex. Although this is a 2nd edition army, I am taking the painting hints, thank you, from Codex Craft Worlds, which was the supplementary Eldar codex in 3rd edition. And that had details of all the sort of Craft World specific armies, and gave a few special rules for thematic armies, which was really something that hadn't been seen. You couldn't, there were no real rules for like individual factions in 2nd edition. Yes, you had Space Marines, and you had an Ultramarines codex, a Angels of Darkness codex with Blood Angels and Chaos Marines, and then you had the Space Wolves codex. So yes, you had 3 different factions of Space Marines, but Blood Angels, Chaos Angels and Space Wolves did actually have very, very different mechanics. The other armies, there were no factions of Eldar represented separately in lists. I say there were no factions of Eldar. I don't count Harlequins, because they are a separate army in their own right. If you ask me, I never liked the Harlequins accompanying Eldar armies. They should have just been a separate list. They were a separate list, but I don't think that they should have appeared properly in the Eldar list. I felt that was a bit weird. You had this sort of, oh, you've got a Harlequin troop with a Death Jester and a Great Harlequin and what have you. What are they there for? Oh, just to bulk out the numbers. Oh, okay, yeah, sure, why not? It never sat right with me. It was only when we got to Craft Worlds that they started detailing how Elatok mechanically was different to Ulthwy, how Same Hand was different to Beltan and what have you. So I really, really like that book. Unfortunately, I've lost it. I haven't got it anymore. Which is shit. So somebody very kindly found the page from it and linked it on the Discord. So I've been working off of that. And the blue helmets for Elatok Scouts is a thing. I am following some guidance on that. Not just going off half cock. I mean, I'm going off nearly half cock. That is kind of standard for me. I say that, half cock. We spent like 6 streams fleshing out our sample model, determining a colour scheme, working on that. Well, I say that, and then we came to our very first stream where we were batch painting, and we threw out the recipe for brown for the bone, because yeah, that was way too complicated. I'm not going and applying like 5 different stages of highlights to every single weapon. That idea can get in the bin. So I hope everyone is having a lovely week here in the UK. It's a bank holiday week, so it's shorter. We are already over the hump. We are over hump day. What's everyone got planned for the rest of it? Or in fact, what's everyone got up to for the weekend? Let me know in the chat if you're up to anything in particular, anything special. And we'll find something to occupy the silence. So otherwise it's just going to be me rabbiting on forever. This blue is far faster to apply than the other one. In a good way. It's not a bad thing. Okay. Right, these guys are nearly done. So I think, apart from the apart from the scout squad that we haven't yet painted with Talasar blue, we're going to get all of this blue done this evening. So it's probably about right that I do act. Oh, that's not too thick. What's going on there? It's thinning down. So I think it would probably be about right if once we finish this squad, we do actually apply that Talasar blue to the other scouts, and then the whole army will be at the same stage. And that's the first time since we started these guys that we've got everything at the same stage, because we went off traditionally half-cocked. And no, I tell a lie, because the first squad that we did has got a coat of lightning bolt blue on it. So, I was getting all excited over nothing there. Never mind. It does mean that if we get all of these guys to one stage, when we do put that coat of lightning bolt blue on everything else, then we will be able to say all of the models are at the same stage of distress. I'll say it again, and it won't be the last time that I say it on this project. That blue is just so delicious. It's got such nice little sort of purple tones in it. Right, one more to do. One more little kneeling down guy. Again, I do like the kneeling down models. This Eldar range, the scouts have this lovely little kneeling guy. And his little tiny shoe with detail on it. I do love that model. Right, this is no, not the last one, because we've got the weapon crew there. Ooh. Oh, there's just the tiniest little bit of helmet through that. That sounds awful, doesn't it? I thought you guys were supposed to remind me when Innuendo was just going to rear its ugly head. We need like a big red button on the stream. We just stop. Don't say it. And then I can ignore it and go ahead, because Innuendo is one of my favourite forms of comedy. Ooh. So the plan here for the scouts is blue armour and a green cloak, which I think should look lovely in a very typical fashion. Very sort of, I mean, the blue armour isn't terribly stealthy, but the green cloak is kind of cliched. Right, scout squad done. So we are on to our final 3 models, these guys. Obviously we have a bunch of weapons to do as well, but they are not going to be in blue. They are going to be like all the mechanical stuff of the army, like guns and equipment and the like. They're all going to be done in the bone colour that we've picked out, so that should be quite fun to paint. Go, make sure we get all of these little visible edges, and then we can go ahead and slap some on the main deck of the platform. Make sure we get around the front here as well. All in here. And then do the cowling. That is very awkward. I don't like how that cowling is coming out, but don't have an awful lot of options. Don't know whether going thicker is a good idea or a bad idea. Don't think it's great, but I think we'd end up with what we were worried about on the Viper. It just not looking the same as the rest of the army. I suppose we might get away with that. Pop that to one side, let that dry off. It's sat next to the other one, which is sort of okay, don't mind it, it'll be alright. There we go, nice and easy little model to paint. Not an awful lot to these guys. And the other one I think is even less. Although he has got a very cool leather jacket to paint. This guy's got like a little leather bomber jacket, but the other one's got like a full-on Matrix style coat going on. Oh, a bit too much paint there, need to thin it out. Again, being quite careful to get our paint nice and thin so that it goes on as we want it, and then just sort of peels back. It's almost like a contrast paint from Temu, this one, because it's not contrast, but it does have a sort of slap it on kind of feel to it. There we go, that's that one done. Oh, we're losing out on desk space here. Look at this creeping horde of Eldar. You bet you didn't know that Eldar was a horde army, did you? Like I say, these hands on these gunner models are just something else. The way the fingers have been modelled on each of them are just really, really nice. I think these guys predate 2nd edition. I'm sure. Actually, no, maybe not. I think they had a different weapons crew in Rogue Trader. I know they had a different weapons platform, but I thought that the crew got updated before the platforms did. I'd have to double check. I'd have to go back on my you know, like the collecting Citadel miniatures. God, that sounds nerdy, doesn't it? I do quite like a mystery of a miniature, a miniature mystery. Somebody posted up the other day about how they had an old Citadel, or they were insistent that it was a Citadel Centaur with a bow. I was like, okay, I don't know what model that could be. And they said, yeah, I'd love to try and identify this model, this old Citadel Centaur with a bow. And then they described it as having a white plastic horse body. And I thought, aha, I know. I've seen that model before somewhere. So I you know, typed in your basic Google search, Citadel white plastic horse, and eventually I came up with it. And it turns out it was a Marauder Centaurs. And it is fascinating to me to go back through a range of models or miniatures or whatever and try and find these weird and wonderful neglected older models. Now, I am actually really liking the way that blue has come up. I think we're going to have to be quite careful about how we choose to highlight it, you know, the edges of the panels and what have you. But I think that blue has come out nicely smoothed off. You can see the difference between the blue that we've already applied and the one that we haven't. So we're going to just carry on with applying this blue over the top of this this gunner on the Viper and his cradle. Okay, that's looking quite good there. Make sure we get this blue all over him. I'll try not to get too much on the rest of the platform, because we don't want to have to clean up too much afterwards. Luckily, because this blue is like our secondary layer, it doesn't quite matter if we don't get every little bit of it that we were supposed to on this pass, because we are going to have to come along and highlight, but also where we do miss any, the fact that it's already blue underneath gives us a big advantage. Big advantage. Although I am still a little bit disappointed with how this model has been put together. As I said, it was one that I bought in an eBay job lot of Eldar when I was very bored with the idea of assembling models. Assembling models is kind of like my hobby kryptonite, if I'm honest with you. I just get so bored, especially with some of the more modern miniatures. When I say modern miniatures, I basically mean anything from the very first Space Marine multi-part plastic kit, the one that came out around circa 3rd edition, when they did the first sort of Marine set with the new poses, the new bolt guns, that sort of stuff. I just got absolutely turned off with the idea of infinitely posable Marines. It's really weird to explain why, but the whole sort of concept I just went, oh god. Some of the joy and beauty of, you know, very basic monopose Marines was just lost on me that day. I just went, I don't particularly see the benefit of the new stuff. Maybe it's just me being grognardy again. You know, it has happened once or twice before. Some people might have come to expect it. But yeah, it's just so frustrating. Like, I don't need all of these posable Marines. What I need is slightly better sculpted monopose. Yeah. Anyway, maybe I'm wrong. No, it's the children who are wrong. There we go. Right, we'll let that guy dry. Oh, excuse me. Apologies. Right, that is Macragge Blue done for now. We can't really do any more with that. And I don't particularly want to do any more with that. Actually, if you will excuse me just for one moment, I will be right back. Bear with me a second. Sorry about that, folks. Right, we have a last little task for this evening, which I don't think we'll be able to complete, to be honest with you. We have 5 more scouts here. You can actually see very nearly the whole army on the table in front of you. Don't know. I was gonna put Talasar blue on them. I'll put Talasar blue on them. Let's give it a go. We'll see how many of these we can crank out before our 10 o'clock spot. Oh, right. I am actually starting to fill up the hobby space with miniatures, which is good in a way. In another way, it's definitely bad, because I can't actually get to my center spot, which is very much where I position myself from when doing the stream. This is my center mark here. I know that's in the middle of the stream because I carefully position it before every stream, so that I know what I'm painting will appear in the middle of the screen. Obviously, at the moment, I'm filling it up with all these miniatures that I'm not painting, that are just sat on the desk waiting to dry. So I'm being very, very silly here. I should stop doing that. Nearly just splurge that all over the place there. Oh well, we will tidy all of that up with the next coat, which for these guys is going to be a lovely shade of green. I'm not sure what shade yet, and I am a little bit apprehensive about green. The reason being, in my newly expanded paint range, so yes, for this stream I have been out to buy some paints, however, quite limited in what I could get from where and when. And so I still, out of normal paints, only have a single green, and that is Warg Flesh. War Flesh. That's right. Only got War Flesh. And I don't know if that's a particularly good idea. I think it would probably be a better idea if I had a decent base colour like War Flesh, and then perhaps a highlight and an edge highlight. And I still don't know whether I'm going to paint these cloaks with any camouflage options. Camouflage might look cool, but we did kind of throw out the idea of painting the regular Guardians with camouflage. So I don't know whether we're essentially on a sort of hide into nothing with it. Is it a case of actually it's not a very good idea, don't bother with camo on 2nd edition models? Maybe, I don't know. Although I say 2nd edition models, these guys lasted quite a while in the range. I think they may have been some of the first 2nd edition models, if not Rogue Trader era. I have a feeling that these scouts came out right at the end of Rogue Trader before they made the transition to Warhammer 40k. If so, they were incredibly nice sculpts for the time. Although a lot of late Rogue Trader stuff is still some of the nicest stuff that was ever done for, you know, 40k, even though at that time it wasn't 40k. Trying to be fairly quick with these, but not offensively so, if that makes sense. I'd like to get these done on this stream, and then next stream I can quickly hit these with a coat of blue, and then we'll basically be everyone caught up to the same stage. The next stage will be to come along with lightning bolt blue, and although I think I might sort of postpone it a little bit and actually go ahead and do some yellow, because then the reason I ploughed ahead with the blue is to get a sort of unified looking force on my painting tray there, almost as a sort of very raw encouragement. Hey, look, you can do it, sort of thing. Which is great, except that dies out for me fairly quickly. I go, oh yes, I can do it. Look, I've got all this lovely army full of blue stuff. And then I'll go, oh God, I've got such a mountain of blue stuff. Whereas if I trick my brain and I go, well, no, I haven't just got blue stuff. I've got blue and yellow stuff. Look at this. We're making progress. We're 50% of the way there, which is not massively a lie. There is, you know, there's work to be done on them, but we are progressing quite quickly here, which I am just incredibly pleased by. this whole idea of me painting and finishing an army is kind of new and alien and strange to me, because I haven't done it for so long. This whole thing of sitting down and painting miniatures, and in effect not just doing it for myself, is just utterly alien, but in a really, really good way. It's so encouraging to sit here and paint for others. So, as I say, we are approaching the end of this stream. I am very much looking forward to a day off. The reason being is not just because I want a break from you lot. That's not true at all. The reason that I'm looking forward to a day off is I will make use of this time to take some photographs and put them up on Discord, links below, and Instagram, again, link below, so we can actually see the army being progressed. We can actually go, oh yeah, they're coming along a bit. So whole army shot and some individual shots. I will be taking the time, as I say, over my day off, my non-streaming day, which is a Thursday, to take some photographs and post them up and actually engage in some of this social media malarkey. Hell, if even my boss can post on social media, admittedly it's LinkedIn, which as we all know is just kind of scam central and, you know, motivational posters. I hate LinkedIn with a passion, absolutely hate it. But yeah, if even my boss can do, and I don't often use air quotes, but I would use social media and air quotes when I'm talking about LinkedIn, because it's kind of not. To my mind, it's probably the most anti-social social media, because, you know, it's posts from people that you don't really know, who do things that you don't really know what they do. And then they post up, you know, a motivational thing about some man in India who invented a way to scam you remotely better. And then you realise they've posted that because they've been hacked. Because their password is 123 password. Or whatever it is. That's not actually my password. Don't try it. Oh, I dropped that one. Oh, flagging now. Thankfully, we've only got 2 more models to do. We've got 5 minutes to do it. I'm not going to rush though, because that is an invitation to disaster. Don't rush, just step back, do it in your own time. That's it. La 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 la. Apologies for the super loud Windows Defender noise. I have been having a little bit of technical difficulties just of late. The anti-malware portion of Windows Defender has just been going bananas. To the extent where it will sort of lag the computer into just a standstill, and you're like, okay, what can I do about it? And the only real thing that you can do is go right ahead and, you know, ask it to shut down, of which it decides to do about 15 minutes later. So I have been trying some various fixes for it that I've seen online, but nothing actually seems to work. So I am kind of cursing my status with technology at the moment. Yeah, I do keep seriously considering spending some coin and seeing if we can upgrade this ancient potato rig that we have. But it is kind of out of my budget at the moment. The way things are is the fact that, you know, family life comes first before the joys of interacting with you guys on stream. I hate to say it, you're not my number one priority, and I know that some of you are going to be super mad over that, and you want me to just treat my family like shit so that, you know, spend the money on a rig. No, I'm joking. Of course I treat you guys as my number one priority. Oh, bloody hell. Sorry, apologies. I've been suffering a little bit with hay fever of late. Right. Last one. Now this guy here, I've done the fairly popular head swap conversion. I know, it doesn't make him specifically second edition. But I don't know whether I should paint the whole head blue or whether I should leave the face, the visor part of it yellow. Tricky one. Let's see. If I can avoid getting too much on it in the first place. And if I can, then we'll probably come back and just do it yellow. And if I do get paint all over it, then I'll pretend that that was what I intended all along and paint it all blue. Hey, look, I think we've done all right. That'll do. Yeah, so yeah, I definitely intended all along to give this guy a yellow visor. So as I say, folks, this is last stream before we have a little break. I say a little break, it's a day. We have a day off on Thursdays. You know, you'll allow me that one day off, surely. On that day, we like to try and post some Instagram and Discord photos. So please do join at the links below. Give us a little like, give us a little follow, and you will get updates. Also, if you have joined during the raid and you are still here, if you're still watching, and you haven't yet given us a follow, I think you're prime candidates to do so. Because if you've stuck it out this long, we must be doing something almost right. So please do give us a little follow. It's very much appreciated. It does help me, it motivates me as we try and grow this channel. It makes me know that I'm doing something right, or it keeps me on the right sort of track. So yeah, if you have enjoyed any of this, please do drop us a little follow. We will be back on Friday, 8 PM UK time, as usual. And then if you have got us on a follow, you'll get a little notification. What could be simpler than that? And it could be the start of a beautiful friendship. Who knows? Right, nearly done this guy, folks. I say that we've got a whole other arm hanging out there that hasn't been done, that we've just ignored. Haven't ignored it, just haven't got round to it. Come on. Here we go. Last one. Last little bit. There we go, folks. Last little bit done. I say that as I've got massive spots all over him that haven't been painted. There we go. Right, as you can see, that is a mountain of blue Eldar there. Totally ready for the next stage of blue, believe it or not. No, I think we're going to actually start putting some yellow on these guys so that we start seeing a couple of colours. Hell, we get some yellow on it and some bone on it, and we're pretty much there for tournament legal. All we've got to do then is smear some crap on the base and we'll be tournament legal. So, thank you very much for joining us. It has been an absolute pleasure. Raiders, I thank you very much for sticking it out. Badger is fast becoming a firm favourite on this channel. I love watching him pretend to paint, and yeah, I very much appreciate when he drops me a little raid after he finishes stream. So yeah, that's very much appreciated. I also appreciate all you guys who stick around. So thank you very much. And we will see you on the next one. Take care, everybody, and good night.